peace. I've said that we believe in election, and I'm happy to give my word that we shall accept the verdict of the people of Ghana.
President Akufo-Addo and John Mahama commit to a peaceful election on behalf of their parties and supporters as they sign a peace pact with just 3 days to the crucial December 7 polls. But this did not happen without whispers from the past.
The events of Ayawaso West Wogon are fresh in our minds, and injuring scores of people remain one of the darkest days in our democratic history.
Whatever were acceptable recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry have been faithfully adhered to by the government.
Tonight, we asked, what is the true value of this activity in safeguarding Ghana's peace?
The Electoral Commission, the judiciary, the security services, and the media hold.
And top story is brought to you by Balakwa Mineral Water and Gasem Cement, the nation builder. I am Ernest Manu. Tonight, the peace campaign has been taken a notch higher with the leaders of the two major parties, the NPP and the opposition NDC, signing a peace pact ahead of the December 7 polls. Today's peace agreement, the third in Ghana's electoral history, seeks to get the commitment of key stakeholders to a peaceful elections. We'll bring you the details of the pact shortly. But ahead of the signing of this agreement, former President John Mahama recounted the event of Ayawaso West Wogon by-election violence and other events that do not give him the confidence that government is committed to a peaceful election. Nevertheless, he committed himself and the NDC as well as their followers to peace. Listen.
The Electoral Commission, the judiciary, the security services, and the media hold the future of our nation in their hands. The United States of America has set an example for us where institutions of democracy have upheld the Constitution despite severe verbal and legal assaults by a losing incumbent. Will our institutions perform the same in the face of a similar situation? Recent events under the current administration have given many anxious moments of doubt about this administration's ability to deliver a peaceful, violence-free election. The events of Ayawaso West Wogon are fresh in our minds. This administration's refusal to sanction persons involved in assaulting an honorable member of parliament and injuring scores of people remain one of the darkest days in our democratic history. Reckless remarks by leading members of the ruling party that the unfortunate events of Ayawaso West Wogon were just a dress rehearsal for the actual election do not inspire confidence for the delivery of a peaceful election. A subsequent intervention by the Peace Council led to the two leading parties, the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party, signing an agreement of 22 deliverables for the eradication of vigilantism. Of these 22 deliverables, 18 were dependent on government. As far as I'm aware, the government has failed to sign the agreement. The loss of 3 lives in the course of a regular voter registration exercise also gives cause for worry. The military siege of the Volta region and other locations during the registration exercise created an intimidatory atmosphere akin to a nation at war. But ladies and gentlemen, we are optimistic. In the face of similar doubts in the past, Ghanaians have risen to the occasion and delivered a peaceful, successful election. It is my prayer that despite our deepest fears, we shall be proved wrong, and Ghana will once again be proven to be the beacon of democracy in Africa. We've done it before, and we can do it again. Let us on Monday exorcise the ghost of Ayawaso West Wogon. My name is John Dramani Mahama, and I stand for peace. Let there be peace in Ghana before, during, and after the elections.
And so that is John Dramani Mahama, former president of this country and the NDC's presidential candidate for the 2020 elections. President Akufo-Addo, on his part, assured the country he will do everything in his power to ensure the 2020 parliamentary and presidential elections are run in a peaceful manner. He, however, seized the opportunity to respond to the issues raised by the opposition leader.
I'm pleased to be part of this event that seeks to highlight the importance of peace in our country as we go to the polls on 7th December on Monday. And I thank the conveners for the invitation to be here and say a few words this morning. This is the third time I've participated in this ceremony. The first two as leader of the opposition and the third as President of the Republic. On both previous occasions, I've held to my part of the Peace Pact. And on this third occasion, as President of the Republic, I will do the same. I'd like to call upon the security agencies to be up and doing their work and making sure that the atmosphere in our country is one conducive to the conduct of a fair and transparent process. The strictures as to the consequences of IAS West Wigan may be an opportunity for all of us to look at issues. I myself do not want to use this platform to engage in controversy, but merely to state that whatever were acceptable recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry have been faithfully adhered to by the government. I've said that we believe in elections, and I'm happy to give my word that we shall accept the verdict of the people of Ghana. Above all, I pledge that the peace, unity, and safety of Ghana will be our primary consideration. May God bless us all in our homeland, Ghana, and make her great and strong.
And so you had President Akufo-Addo. My colleague Maxwell Adoda was at that event and joins me in the studio with more. Maxwell, who else was at this event? And describe to us the mood in that auditorium.
Well, first of all, let me start with the mood in the auditorium. In fact, at a point, you could actually hear a pin drop when the NDC presidential candidates, started talking. It was just like that point, where you are in a church and then the priest says, at this point in time, they're about to exchange vows, and he asks that if anyone has any reason why these two people shouldn't be, joined together, if you have any reason, just get up. That was what it was like at that point when he started speaking and started making references to Ayaso West Wuogon. Then the anxiety came down a little bit when he started talking about, despite all these, doubtful moments, he believes that there will still be a peaceful election come December 2020. Then people started, murmuring, and then the talking, started a little bit, and then the applause at that point in time. So at a point
later, the exchange pleasantries. I'm talking about
exactly,
President Akufo-Addo
exactly,
and, the former President John Mahama.
Exactly, and it was President Akufo-Addo who initiated that move. So at the point
after they had signed the pact,
and then he was clapping, and then
the moderator called for applause.
And then he clapped in the face of John Mahama, and John Mahama started laughing. They all removed their mask, and you could see that they were all, happy and then laughing. Even after the event, they exchanged pleasantries, and it was quite a good moment for, all the people who were in the auditorium at the time.
But talking about who was there, the chairman of the two major parties were at this event, also because of how important this is. The parties are committing to a very important issue.
Exactly. So we had some very high-profile dignitaries. All the people who matter in, Ghana's electoral space were present, even internationally. We had the Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers, Special Representative of the Secretary General of the UN for West Africa and the Sahel region. He was there. We had the EC chairperson. She was also there. Of course, the two presidential candidates were there. The Chief Imam, he was present, himself. We had the chairman of the National Peace Council. We also had the president of the National House of Chiefs, and all the heads of the political parties were also present.
Maxwell, but let's talk about the pact that they signed today. Just there's a preamble. When you take a look at the pact, there's a preamble, and then everything boils down to about 6 points.
Exactly.
Which are the issues that they are committing to. Run those by us.
Sure. So we here, in reference to the two political parties, the two main political parties, it says, one, that we hereby commit ourselves and our supporters to peaceful elections in the December 2020 general elections. Two, that we undertake to accept the results of the said elections. Three, that we undertake to restrain our supporters from resorting to violence in the aftermath of the said elections. And then four, that we are committed to the judicial resolution of all election disputes. Five, that we are committed to taking all necessary and appropriate measures to deepen our democracy and to preserve Ghana's well-deserved reputation as haven of peace, stability, and constitutionalism on the African continent. Finally, that we are committed to working together to undertake constitutional reforms in order to eradicate the root causes of vigilante violence in Ghana, Ernest.
So these are the 6 major points that the two leaders committed to. Maxwell, thank you very much for bringing us those details. And you're live here on Top Story. Let's go on to the phone lines now and explore this further. Professor Kwesi Jonas with IDEC joins us on the line. Prof, thank you very much for your time here on Top Story. Prof, you put this together, IDEC together with your partners, the Peace Council. Very beautiful and symbolic event. You hear the former president say that he recounts the event of Ayawaso West Ogun election, the violence there that characterized the by-election. The president responded in equal measure, but then both of them committing to peace at the end of the day. I don't know if you find that as heartwarming as I did.
Hello?
Professor Jonah, can you hear me? Hello, Prof, can you hear me?
Well, this is Kwesi.
Yeah, okay, so we have Dr. Kwesi on the line. We'll also speak to Professor Kwesi Jonah. But, Doc, stay with me. The issue of this peace pact has been questioned. For many, this looks nice. It is symbolic. But the skeptics will tell you this is only cosmetic and does not have true value in safeguarding Ghana's peace. How do you react to that?
Well, I mean, this is not the first time a peace agreement has been signed. We need to understand and appreciate that peace agreements are just a first step in usually a long process of misunderstanding, of suspicion, and of violence. So normally, they are just symbolic gestures of goodwill and the real hard work of ensuring that both the spirit and the letter of this accord is worked on right from the word go. But based on our historical record, there's a lot of hard work that needs to be done. And these guarantees of peace and promises of good behavior by the supporters of the two parties have been given before. So there's really very little basis to be optimistic, except around the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, there's real peace. The issues of vigilante behavior are dealt with and clamped down. Otherwise, yeah, this is a very nice ceremony, but we wait to see the real impact and the real impact on Ghana.
Doc, I wanted to hold the line for me. Kwesi Jonah joins us again on the line. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Top Story. So I put the question earlier that this is a beautiful ceremony. You put it together with your partners, but for many, this is just cosmetic, and it does not add any true value when it comes to safeguarding the peace of this country.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I didn't get the first part of the question.
Yeah. So this is about the third time we are doing this. In the last 3 years that we have signed the peace pact by the two major parties, we have seen electoral violence either during or after the polls. And for many, they question why we continue to do this and what is the value of this as far as the security of this country is concerned.
Well, okay. Thank you so very much for this question. I'm sure you are not the only person concerned about this question. But let us go back and look at the impact of this peace pact. It is very easy to conclude that, oh, they don't have any impact, and so why do you continue doing it, and so on and so forth. Now, 2012 was the first time a peace pact was signed under the distinguished patronage of Otunfo, the Asset to the second Asante name, and the National House of Chiefs and the National Peace Council. Then we went into the 2012 election. Now, it is a matter of history that the NPP disputed the outcome of the 2012 elections. When the NPP leadership disputed the outcome of the 2012 elections, it will be recalled that the rank and file used to mobilize themselves and gather at Obra spots and so on and so forth with the intention of demonstrating and so on and so forth. But what happened? The NPP leadership, especially the chairman, the late Mr. Jake Obechebi Lamte, they told them that this is not a matter of going to streets. We have pledged in the peace pact that if you're not happy, you seek redress through the courts. So please, don't gather at Obra spot. Don't engage in any violence. Go home. You go to the court. And they did go to the court. And the rest is history. Now, 2016, that the winner, the lose, whoever lost the election will concede to the winner. What did you see in 2016? His Excellency John Dramani Mahama that conceded. Now, for those people who are flippantly saying this is cosmetic and so on and so forth, it is not fair to the very fine gentlemen who are signing. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, these are seasoned politicians. They will not append their signature to a document just for the sake of cosmetics. If they know that they are not going to abide by the commitments they are making, they will not make them. So those who say that they are insulting the intelligence of this fine gentleman, why would His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, for the third time, append their signature to a document if it is just a mere scrap of paper?
But sir, I'm not sure if this is fair to them, because for many who raise the issues, it is also born out of their reality. We have seen what happened at the registration, the voter registration exercise that took place recently. We saw the event of Ayawaso by-election violence. And for some of the people who raise the concerns, these are the realities that they are facing. And this is what informs their position.
These are not the kind of examples you can cite to support your point that the peace pact does not work. The NPP and the NDC, these are huge mass parties with millions of members and supporters. So what leadership can do is, please don't engage in violence. And when people do engage in violence, to very quickly move to douse the situation, either at the local level or at the national level. When you sign a peace pact, it does not mean that every little corner of the country where your party has branches and members, all of them will say that, oh, my president has signed a peace pact. So let us be realistic. They have signed a peace pact today. I wouldn't be very surprised if one or two people, some corner of the country, did something. The point is that the leadership of the party will very quickly draw the attention of the people to the fact that, please, stop that.
Hold the line for me. Let me take the view of Professor Kwesieni, who is also on the line with us. Prof, so you had the point he makes about for instance, the 2012 incidents and what happened in 2016, and these are for him significant issues that must be celebrated, and that must encourage us to continue to hold these. To have these leaders, signed to a peace pact. But then you mentioned the real issues of vigilantism, which is rearing its ugly head in our politics.
Well, look, the first step towards resolving a difficult problem is a recognition that you have a problem and also an acceptance of the difficulty towards dealing with that problem. Raising doubt and expecting fulfillment of the system, and people asking questions about compliance does not mean that people don't have hope. Neither does it mean that they don't trust those who have signed the peace accord. I think to make that argument, it's unacceptable and it's unfair.
The other issue, which
peace
often
agreements,
yes, I'm listening.
Peace agreements are usually elite consensus pact, so that it's up to those who have signed and the leaders around them to ensure compliance at the lower levels. If we take the 2016 agreement to mean anything at all, then to a large extent it failed because vigilantism has continued to escalate until today. And I think that is the basis upon which people are saying, what are the guarantees that we have that what has been signed will settle down to such an extent that we will not see, violence? It need not be widespread. Even sporadic acts of violence that sows fear and threatens people's lives because of the nature of it, I think worries people. So I think the questions people are asking are all towards ensuring that there's compliance, and then together as a nation, we come out of the elections successfully, transparently, and attain a result that we are all for.
And in ensuring compliance, we need the police to be there to enforce the law. Today, they were represented at the event by COP Ekufu Dampare. At the end of his 8-pronged approach or strategy, which he gave the audience today, he ended by asking the two leaders to speak to their followers. The issue of the police having their work being interfered by the two major parties or the leaders is also another problem.
Well, that has been part of the historical weakness of the Ghana police force. That over time, the institutional culture of the service has been hollowed out to such an extent that for the public, that is actually the recipient of the services provided by this institution, this all-important institution, that the public is not very sure whether what the institution promises to deliver can actually be delivered. So we have a collective responsibility to ensure that going forward, that we support the police service itself. I mean, security is a shared responsibility. The Ghana Police Service can try to do as much as possible, but I think as citizens, we have a responsibility also to point out those in our midst who are troublemakers.
Do you think
and
the
there lies
pact...
the challenge with the vigilantes, that because they are backed politically sometimes, even when they've been pointed out, and we see so-called elements within national security, intimidating even the police service itself. Okay, so these are the realities of the problems that we face, and the kinds of things that can undermine confidence in this peace accord.
Do you think it would have made a difference if the pact, for instance, captured that explicitly?
Excuse me?
Do you think it would have made a difference if the pact, the peace pact signed today, captured that explicitly in terms of the interference?
It would have been good, and it would have been also good to capture the role of the security services, and that the public expect the security services to behave in a professional manner that elevates the services that they provide beyond the narrow confines of party interests. Okay, that's the responsibilities that we expect citizens to show. That honorable behavior, that behavior must be exhibited also by the uniformed forces. And it is when they exhibit that professionalism, that trust, respect, reciprocity begins to play a role in a much more enhanced civil police, civil military relationship. Criticizing the pact is a necessary responsibility of civil society. And those who have guaranteed it, or those who set it up, must be tolerant of those who have alternative views.
I want to thank you for your time here, and that's Professor Kwesi Jonah speaking to that's Professor Kwesi Enin. Let me speak to Kwesi Jonah briefly on this as we wrap up on Top Story. How binding is this peace pact for the two leaders and the parties that have signed on to this?
This is not a parliamentary act. This is not an act of the Ghana Parliament. This is a voluntary undertaking by the two major political leaders in this country. It is very voluntary. It is very much like the code of conduct that political parties sign. It is very much like the code of conduct that the MPP and the NDC have signed with the National Peace Council. It depends upon the goodwill of those who are signing to, if let's say, NPP or NDC vigilante people are misbehave, IDEC is not going to go to court, or the Peace Council is not going to court, or the National House of Chiefs is not going to court.
And beyond the signing of this pact, what are the parties involved expected to do? Does it just end there at the signing?
Well, it is up to the parties who have signed to make sure that the party leadership educates the party members about the peace pact, that our leaders have committed to these principles. But more importantly, it is also up to the rest of us, all citizens of Ghana, to keep referring them to the pact they have signed. Look at the way your people are behaving. Aren't you the people who signed the peace pact to say that you will denounce all forms of violence and so on and so forth? So we have collective responsibility as citizens of this country to make sure that the peace pact does work.
I want to thank you for your time. That's Kwesi Jonah, who is with the Institute of Democratic Governance. And that's it for Top Story, brought to you by Gassem Cement, the Nation Builder, and Balakwa Mineral Water. Now, if you still are not convinced by this peace campaign, I give you one more reason why you must give peace a chance. Listen.
As I join the